Hey guys, it's Candice from Everyday Better, and on this episode of Move, Recover, Thrive, we are talking about muscle. Muscle is not just for aesthetics, it's actually an endocrine organ that helps you move efficiently, age well, and control your insulin levels. So why is muscle so important? I am actually very happy to see that most people that come into our gym say they want to increase their muscle mass or improve their strength. And that's been a hard sell for women for a while, but I can see the tide is really changing, and it's a great thing because it means that we are all going to age a lot better from that. So once an adult hits about 30, you will generally lose muscle mass from anywhere from 3 to 8% each decade that goes by. And once you hit 60, that percentage goes up. So you lose more and more muscle mass. That's called sarcopenia, losing muscle mass, and dynapenia, losing muscle strength. The reason why that's important to know is because some of the biggest causes of mortality as you get older can come from falls, cardiovascular disease, dementias, and those things can actually have really great benefit by having muscle mass. The reason is there's two big things that muscles do. One is they will really help you stay strong and reduce frailty as you get older. Falls is the fourth leading cause of death in Australians over 65. So if you're able to prevent yourself having a fall, you have a much higher chance of living longer and living well. And that's because your muscles are basically designed to keep you upright, keep you strong, being able to provide resistance against force. One of the biggest things that happen as you get older is as you're walking, you will trip a little bit. And we do it all the time. But when we're younger, our muscles have really good reactivity. So they're able to produce power and force quickly as a reflex. As you get older, this decreases. And that is because your muscles are made up of two different types. Type 1, which is slow twitch muscles, which is kind of endurance. They don't fatigue fast. They are really good for things that you will do all day. And type 2 muscle, which is fast twitch muscle. And this is power, force, and reactivity. As you age, your body selectively decreases type 2 muscle. So you become much worse at being able to produce power, force, and reactivity. So as someone gets older and they start to fall or they step on something that causes them to go off balance, instead of being able to quickly right themselves using power and force, they're not able to do it. So they have more falls and more frailty, which leads to mortality. And the second thing about muscles, which I think is not particularly well known, is muscles are really good. Think of them in your body like a big sink that collects glucose. So when you eat something, it sends, kind of dependent on what it is, it'll send sugar into your bloodstream. And your bloodstream can comfortably take about 1 teaspoon to 1 tablespoon of sugar in your blood throughout your whole body. Anything more than this and it needs to go get pushed out of your bloodstream, because it's actually high doses of sugar in your blood is actually toxic to it. It'll cause inflammation, erosion. It's really bad to stay in your bloodstream. So what happens is insulin is released, and that blood sugar can go either 1 to your liver, which holds about 100 grams of blood sugar, or 2 to your big muscular sink and go into the muscles, and that holds a lot more sugar. So I love using analogies to make it really simple. If you think of your bloodstream like a superhighway and you have something to eat, that's like all of these cars coming onto the superhighway. If you have something like quite high in sugar, those cars on the highway will go into a traffic jam. Your body will release insulin. Think of insulin like a parking inspector, like a parking director. And think of your liver and your muscles as parking lots. So if you have lots of cars on the highway, and then your parking inspector, your insulin opens the gates of parking lots. One will have like 10 spaces for cars. That's your liver. Parking inspector sends them in there. Your other one could have up to hundreds and thousands of car parking spots. That's your muscle mass. So parking inspector opens the gate, all the cars can go in there, traffic flows nicely throughout the superhighway again. That's how things should work. And if you have a really big muscle mass, that's great because lots of cars can go into those muscular sinks or those car parks. Now, if those car parks start decreasing in size because you're letting your muscle decline as you age or you just haven't built it up, instead of being able to send thousands of cars into the car park, the parking inspectors can send maybe 10 cars, and then all of that superhighway is still backed up with cars, which is causing traffic jams, accidents. So your parking inspectors start blowing their whistles and sending cars wherever they need to go. But basically, if there's no car parks, then no one's listening to the parking inspectors. And that, in a nutshell, is what insulin sensitivity is. The insulin is there, it wants to do something, but there is nowhere for that blood sugar to go. And insulin sensitivity leads to type 2 diabetes, which leads to a lot of metabolic conditions and cardiovascular disease. So basically, if you build your muscles, that's your glucose sink. That is your ability to clear blood sugar out of your blood and keep your body moving nicely. So that's the reasons why muscle is really important to keep, especially as you get older. Now the big question, how do you do it? How do you build strength? How do you maintain it? It is your body will only do something if it's going to increase its survival. So basically, unless your body gets a stimulus that it needs to do this thing, otherwise it won't survive, then it will not build muscle, because muscle is metabolically expensive. It costs a lot of energy just to maintain it. So your body doesn't really want to waste all its currency on muscle unless it needs it. So you have to be able to give your body enough stimulus to let your body say, holy, if I don't make things bigger, better, stronger, I'm not going to survive the next thing. So think of your body or your muscle cell like an old house, and a hurricane comes in and that wind kind of bends the structures of the house. Then the owner of that house will call in a contractor, load up the bricks and steel, make everything stronger, make it bigger for next time. So the next time the hurricane comes, it's not as worried about it. Now, the thing with strength training is you got to keep this muscle cell worried about what's coming next. And that's what progressive overload in strength training is. So at first you give it a little bit of adaptation, you give it a little bit of stress to let it know it's got to get a bit better. And then once it's a bit better, you give it a little bit more and you let it know, actually, you need to get even stronger. You need to build it into a 2-story house. And then you get a little bit more of the stimulus. And then it'll get even bigger and stronger, and it'll expand its floor plan. That's what we do with strength training in progressive overload. So your body is very specific about what it builds. The one thing that I would say to people is don't confuse strength training with active living. So if you walk a lot, your body will get really good at walking. If you do yoga a lot, your body will get really good at stretching. Strength training is the most efficient way to build muscle mass. Things like Pilates that will cause a burn as you're doing things is really good at building that type 1 muscle mass for endurance and fatigue, but it's really bad at building that type 2 muscle mass, which is the one that prevents sarcopenia and loss of muscle as you get older. It means that you can't build power, force, and reactivity as well. The burn that you feel from like those kind of body weight exercises is not the same as mechanical tension. The most efficient way to build muscle is using external mechanical tension, so lifting something heavy. And the stimulus should be at about 70 to 85% of what you can comfortably do 1 rep of. And that is going to be so different for everyone. So when I say lift heavy, it's a matter of relativity. If you have not lifted before, then you are not going to be like doing a heavy back squat. You've got to build to that, because if you go back to the house analogy, if you have this little shack that hasn't ever had a hit of wind, if you suddenly throw a hurricane at it, well, it's going to topple over, and that's where injuries come from. So that's why strength training is great, because you can easily measure and manage your progressive overload. And that is the reasons why strength training is so important. That's a really good, a good way of how to increase your strength training. Be specific. Strength training is for building muscles. Lots of other things are great for lots of other reasons. Yoga's great for stretching, walking's great for cardiovascular, but be specific on what you want to do, and that's how you'll see the most benefit from your strength training. Thanks for listening.